I'm Kelly Lindeman,
I'm Al Fuentes.
and this is our conscious conversation.
It kind of just came over actually Instagram, and
Right,
you had made some really cool videos.
right.
And I was like, I'm just getting the message that we should do something together.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's how I even stumbled upon you was for oh, I forget what they called it, reset retreat. It was the reset retreat, and you were channeling, and I just remember just observing, and this is such an interesting energy, and just the way that you were channeling for everybody. It was so beautifully done, and I thought, I envisioned myself doing something like that one day. And I'm just wondering your path and your journey and just how you even stumbled upon that. And I'm like, it'd be really cool one day if we had eventually collaborated. And it was just a funny little thought of mine. And then you messaged me and you're like, hey, we should just collaborate on something. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so, here we are.
Message received.
Message received. Yeah. Some telepathic conversations happening over
Yeah.
here.
And you were sitting like kind of right in my front line
Yeah.
of sight.
Yeah.
And so as I was kind of channeling and opening the room, and then boom, your energy was just right there.
Right.
That space it's kind of difficult to channel in such a big space with so
Really?
many people's energies and thoughts and everything. So
Yeah.
I love doing those things because of that.
It's a challenge.
I like it
I was
because
wondering, you're
it's a
just
challenge.
there's so many things going on. Even me just sitting there, I was feeling the energies to the left and to the right, and they're all so different. And I'm like, how is he? How are you doing that?
Yeah. And it's really interesting too, because I have to be very mindful of what I say, because I had to filter, because
It sounded like it
I
sometimes.
had to filter certain specific details. So
Yeah.
that was fun. But yeah, to answer your question of how, like, I was so far away from this life. I grew up in a town of 1,000 people. I mean, I've told this story before, but um, it was something I didn't even know the word spirituality until I did my
Right.
first Reiki class, and that's what
Right.
started it off for me was Reiki.
Okay.
And I was an intense dude, and mostly in unhealthy ways.
They always are.
Grew up as an athlete, super intense, super aggressive. My family was beautifully intense and aggressive,
Right.
and that's the way of life. And
Yeah.
I was in battle mode from the time I was a little kid,
Okay.
all the way up until I started working on myself. And trying to unwind that battle mode took me sitting and being still and just working the energy through my body, and that felt so calming to me when I had this mind that was raging in so many different ways. And so, but because of my intensity, I'm like, I'm going to be the best at this,
Right.
and I'm going to Reiki everything.
Yep.
And so I just applied that intensity. And it was one of the first times my intensity that actually really, truly benefited me. You could say my intensity benefited me as a wrestler and stuff like that. But really, it was this that really benefited me. And I just started doing so much energy through my body, and that's what started opening up that channel.
Was that through Reiki?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just through Reiki. I wasn't well read. I had dyslexia and ADD for growing up, so trying to read a book, just the words get so scrambled, and it takes so much energy to
Right.
I just couldn't comprehend what I was reading because I was working so hard on trying to read,
Right.
and which is what the challenge with dyslexia. So I was never somebody into that stuff, and I wasn't exposed to anything. So like Tony Robbins, or I knew none of that stuff.
Okay.
And so I just did my Reiki,
Okay.
and that's it, because that's what I was taught, and so that's what I'm doing.
Right.
And then I just worked that. I worked a morning routine with that. I would do it all day long, and then we would go and we'd practice with people and do people on the table. And after Reiki 1, you can actually work and
Oh.
sell services just
Okay.
from Reiki 1 alone, which I have clients, because I teach Reiki now. And so
Okay.
I'll have my Reiki 1 students. Well, there's some that do choose to do it as a business. They'll do that. And I would just put my hands on people and send energy. And then I'd get these random messages or just a word like grandpa. And then I'd be quiet for a while. And then finally I was like, hey, like, I'm hearing grandpa, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
and then they start crying or they do whatever.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, this might be a little weird,
I've
but
got
also,
something going on here.
yeah, a little real. And I'm like, okay. And that just led to me opening up this channel fully where I
Right.
could just hear everything.
Yeah.
And then not only that, be able to have conversations with the universe to get super clear. you came here today to the home, which is really great. This all happened through energy and channeling and tell the universe saying, hey, we want you to do this. We want you to do that.
Right.
Look at this, look at that. And it's just like, and a lot of my life choices, once I started working on myself, like this
Happen that
doesn't
way.
make sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
The universe would just be like, here's why, here's what it's going to look like. Here's what, and so my life, my success has been built on this channel.
Right.
And then, so then it was natural for me to then just hold space for other people.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So 19 years ago, I started coaching people, and it was really beautiful, really beneficial for not only me, but for them.
Yeah.
And the philosophy is really just, I'll share information, but it's up to you to do something with it and do the work.
How to perceive it in your own way and what
Make
that
your own
means to
truth.
you,
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
words mean, what the energy means to you, and alchemize something from that
Yeah.
that means something specifically to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's, I joke, I say, you just got to be really messed up and then start a journey and fix all these areas of your life, or elevate from all these areas of life. And then people will want to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. And then you just develop.
I mean, that's how we got here. That's how all of us coaches, teachers, anything, everyone in the spiritual path has gotten there for a reason. I mean, obviously, just the human experience in general, we've all been through stuff, but the choice to heal it and the choice to kind of dissect the layers and understand it. And I think this curiosity that we all naturally have of something a little bit extra in life, this little magic in life, following that, I call it the white rabbit, your little intuitive pulls of, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it feels right. And just seeing where that leads to you. And I think that's just kind of, I don't know, the journey unfolds in itself. There is no right answer, and you know that, but you know the vision. I'm a very visual person. I see things through, like, obviously pictures, or just, I'll close my eyes and I'll just see something playing out in life, or I see people doing things. That's kind of what I have. And then I'll hear like words kind of like you do, but just discovering that little voice and having curiosity about those gifts that you have, and that inner channel of discovering what this human experience is. And I don't want to say supposed to be, because there is no definition of that, but
right. But you're from California, right?
Yeah.
And so that's traditionally known as more of like a awake kind of consciousness place. Is that what you experienced? When did the spirituality stuff start for you?
I guess it did start in California. Not in the way that, not the spiritual journey, that was more in Hawaii, but I did start to wake up in California. I think I was about 17, 18. And it came out in a lot of anger and a lot of, I was just angry. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. It felt like I woke up in a bad dream and I didn't know why my brain was talking the way that it did. I didn't understand any of it. And even just as a kid, I didn't like the conformity of even school. Really, I didn't like, and I never understood that, maybe my soul was into just wanting to break out into this loving light being, because a lot of I grew up in the city. So, California's supposed to be enlightened, but the city oftentimes does come with a lot of noise. And a lot of the noise can be, negativity or just darker energies and beliefs and what you're supposed to do. And, my mom was an East Coast girly, so she grew up in Pennsylvania, and they're very, very, like, I don't want to say closed-minded, but in a sense, everything that I'm about is not a normal human being. Like they look at me like the woo-woo crazy girl, you know what I'm saying? But I think being in California did allow me to be something a little bit different. Sacramento, because it is the city, you are different. And I had this pull. I just knew I had to get out. And my friend, I had actually, I found her dad in Hawaii, and she ended up living there. And I was like, well, can I come live with you for a little bit? And I said, you know what? When I started speaking to the land and I started speaking to spirit a little bit more, and I said, if this is right, let's find a house, and I'll stay here and I'll continue the journey. And a week later, I found a house, ended up living there for 4 years. But that was, and that was a funny little journey within its own. It was blessing and a curse, and a lot of obstacles happened that way. But maybe 2 years into living to Hawaii, I got into the spiritual community. And that's when I started to dabble with, even just plant journeys and people that did energy work and Reiki. And, you know, it was I got very in touch with just spirit and me wanting to just live and have a beautiful, abundant life. And, you know, at the time my mom was freaking out because I had dropped out of college. And, you know, like I went and she's like, you're wasting your life. And I'm like, you know, this is the point of life though. You know, I'm walking barefoot in a jungle somewhere and I'm as happy as can be. I feel rich, you know, and this is where I started talking about the riches in life and finding love and discovering love. And, you know, I just discovering myself in a way the entire time. And then that's when I ended up going to Bali and doing even more things and yoga retreats here and ceremonies here. And eventually I just kind of dabbled all over the world. And in that journey of separating myself from where I was born and raised in that script, in that narrative, I uncovered who I actually am without even the spiritual community telling me what is right or how you should live or, you know, all of these things. And that just kind of allowed me to, you know, I started meditation and I started to hear things and I started to see things and I started to listen to coaches, even on Instagram. Got really into Joe Dispenza and how to rewire your brain, and your reality starts to shift. You know, there's all the little missing pieces, but it all kind of came together into this. I really feel this purpose in life to guide people to that inner voice within themselves and to really trust it and to really listen to it and to follow that love consciousness. That it's so interesting how I feel like everything is created with love. Love is just such a great frequency, but to find that love within yourself and within the world, just, I don't know, this beautiful spark in life that I found in that journey. I want to bring that into the world in some way, shape, or form, even if it's the words that I say, if it's the way that I am, the way that I live, the way that I create. Somehow I would just love to spark curiosity in somebody else that, you know, the coaches did for me when I was listening to them, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say a couple things for people listening right now. If they rewind back to the beginning of you telling your story, you say that you started kind of in anger, 17, 18,
So angry.
but you then unwound a little bit and go, even as a little kid, I didn't quite conform.
Yeah.
And I just want to explain that to people who may not understand or may understand that they feel out of place,
Sure.
but don't also understand why or what.
Sure.
And so as a little kid, you were tapped into a greater consciousness that isn't matched in the human framework. Something as simple as school, that's a human framework thing. And it's really evolved into a place that's designed for test scores and making sure that the kids are disciplined and orderly and things like that. Essentially, school's turned into a conforming construct that limits people from their greater lives.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentioned that way, and I think education is important, just so we're clear, but structured in a way that still gives people the discovery of their inner voice. And that education isn't happening out there. So you just go, okay, things are weird.
Yeah.
Don't fit in. Even as a little kid, if we really unpacked all those little thoughts, even when you're 3, 4, 5, like they're real and they're big.
Right.
And then you keep pushing them and quieting them because you know you're like, well, I got to hang out with these friends. I got to take this test. I got to do this thing. And then you get into high school. And then all of a sudden, your soul voice or your greater connection to this greater wisdom construct,
Right.
this thing gets so big for you, not everybody, but at that time, 17, 18, it got so big that now you look out the world and you're pissed.
Yeah.
You're like, this bullshit, you know?
Yeah. You're angry, you know?
And you're just like wanting to fight it all. And what happens to people is then they just get, I'm just going to forget it all and I'm going to like throw responsibility out the window and any kind of survive. I'm just going to try to make it one day at a time and just break all the rules and, you know, do whatever. And the challenge with that is that doing it from that place, there's a lot of suffering that we do to ourselves because with that special connection, not using it because we don't know how to integrate in harmony with human
Right.
the human world, it just becomes a battle and a
Yeah.
fight, and then the anger and all the things. So it was really interesting to hear that. And I mean, I was just talking to somebody the other day whose son committed suicide. And this is something I deal with. I work with kids because these kids, even younger, you were kind of early. You were early
Yeah.
into this world with this natural connection.
Right.
But it's happening really prevalent now to the place where people are so uncomfortable being here because it's so foreign to them
Yeah.
that they're just like, I'm out, and they end up committing
Yeah.
suicide. And so the kids I get to work with who we talk through this, they understand, we actually leverage their connection to then harmonize with this world. They tend to make it because there's no more of the huge disconnect, and they feel foreign here.
Yeah.
They understand why they're here and
Yeah.
what the greater construct that they're connected to, or realm, actually, because that's another thing. Like there's other realms out there other than just Earth realm. And if you come from one of those realms, this world doesn't even make sense at all.
Pretty strange.
And so, but learning your realm, learning how to use all the wisdom, knowledge from your realm to integrate into this realm,
Right.
that's really the key. And then also
alchemy.
take things back from this realm to that other realm when you go
Right.
back up and out.
Right.
That's not how it's done, unfortunately, because again, who's got the book to this? I do it one-on-one. It's really something that I see as we're talking today, because we were talking off camera about like this, and you even mentioned today, I just want to coach in some way to bring this into the world,
Yeah.
so that you can support people in whatever way that you
Right.
can. I think this is one of the key pieces. The reason why is because if you can understand being a little bit ahead of the curve, this transition from this greater connection, greater realm kind of mindset, and then utilize it and how you've integrated into human life. And you've done it pretty well, by the way.
Thank you.
There's still a level of mindfulness. You're not suffering. You're not just day by day,
Right.
trying to figure it out. You're not messy.
Right.
Like you can tell when these beautiful spiritual people or these people, they're really messy in their lives and they're really dysfunctional. And like I was going to come, but I lost my keys. Like, like that kind of thing. So you're doing it really well. And I really feel like this is a beautiful space that you can be that bridge the gap between people who are connected to this greater consciousness, other realms,
Right.
and in this realm, and how to harmonize it. And that kind of coaching is definitely needed.
That's so crazy that you said that. In Egypt, I had a little download, and I was talking to a friend, and I feel like my greatest skill set is being able to bridge the two worlds really well. That doesn't seem too out there for people on Earth to understand. But to be the bridge was a big thing, and we did little tattoos, and be the bridge was something that I kind of alchemized, and I put that into 3 little dots on my wrist just as a solidifier to my mission on this planet, is to just be the bridge for people to understand that there is a different world out there, or there is a different mindset out there. So it's, I don't know, being the bridge. It's really crazy that you said that.
Or it's just channel, which is what
right.
happens anyway. If I had $1 for every time a client said, that's really crazy that you said that.
That's crazy that you said that.
Because I'm just listening, hearing, and sharing. And what I
Right.
heard and saw and felt in you,
Yeah.
even in this moment, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly it. To
Right.
simplify it,
Yeah.
you're meant to be that bridge.
And I battle with this, with, I don't know what voice it is, but I'm always trying to ground myself and bring myself back to earth. Is this an ego thing? Am I, I don't ever want to come from this place where I feel like I know it all, because I absolutely don't. But to even just, for people to hear that, is nobody knows everything. And to just kind of invite them to be a little bit more curious. Like that's the money right there. I if I can do that in any way, shape, or form, is to just spark something in somebody, then I've done my work here on this planet.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when sometimes people will do that, it's like, hey, what do you know?
Yeah.
I'll say less and less every day.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, like I literally say that, what do you know? Less and less every
It's
day.
so true.
Because the more I learn, the more I realize there is this
You don't know
unlimited,
anything.
expansive learning to do. You know,
And it's
I
how do you, right. And
yeah,
how do you put words on any of it either? Once you
yeah,
start to discover whatever it is, again, words can't describe it. It's just an energy, a frequency, particles, light, sound, everything moving together in different patterns and different silly little things. How do you explain any of it? And that's kind of, it's such a, not a joke, but it's just the humor of the creation of the universe is I'm figuring myself out, but what is there to figure out?
yeah. And what's really cool, I think, for you in this space, not I think, what's really cool for you is that understanding that there's so much more
Right.
to learn, but to still feel confident to share what you already know.
Right.
And that piece is so critical. And there's so many people out there that trying to be coaches, trying to do different things, and a lot of it is from just what they've learned in books and what they've learned in from other people. And this way you're doing it, from learning from the universe and then sharing what you've learned from the universe out, makes it fresh, new, and different. And for people who are just trying to figure this out, whether you're working with any coach right now, myself or somebody else, you have to put in the work. If you're not working to really shift your consciousness, train your consciousness to feel differently, to see differently, to think differently, then you're just going to be in the loops, and it's pretty tough.
Oof, the loops.
Yeah, the Fruit Loops.
The Fruit Loops. And there are many colors, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Negative, even the spiritual loop, that one's one to get caught up into.
Yeah. One thing it's the seriousness that people put on any of it, being so serious in the humanness, being so serious in the spirituality. And I've done both.
Same.
And when I was super serious in the humanness with no spiritual connection. And then once I started doing this, I'm like,
Yep.
oh, like, yeah. And it's kind of crazy when you start working on yourself and getting messages, you start, at least I did. I don't know if you felt this way. I'm like, oh, I think I got this thing figured out.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have that
Oh,
too?
yeah. I'm a master at it.
Yeah.
And that's
and then
my
the
goal.
universe is like, nope.
That's
boom.
my goal, is because I want to control. I really like the feeling of wanting control. I know that I don't have it, but on the human experience, trying to have control over that and then realizing you don't. And then maybe I can master my mind in a sense, and maybe master my reality. And yes, in a sense you can when it comes to navigating it, but you're always going to get some sort of thing that throws you off. And just the intelligence of the spiritual realm, and just knowing all of the different worlds that you can access, knowing that you'll never be a master at really anything except navigation, and even then you get thrown off on your path. But it's a practice every single day, and to make that a tangible, like, to make that into something that makes sense to people, is I just always bring back the example of working out. Some days you're going to feel really, really strong. Some days you're going to feel like you don't have muscles at all. And it's just the daily practice of like, oh yeah, I've got this. I can hold this.
Yeah.
Today I feel a little bit stronger. Other days, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really important too for people to appreciate that we're not going to be able to escape the humanness.
No.
At all.
No.
And the only thing the spiritual realm is ever going to be designed to do is empower you.
Right.
Now, the humanness can pervert the spiritual realm or the messages or the ego, like, oh, I've got this figured out, or oh, I've mastered it, or oh, I know everything.
Right.
And then that same thing is, we definitely do a lot in the human verse to pervert things. Where I feel it's really important, and where you're going to have such a great impact, is from a relatable place. Like, I'm a human. You're a human. We're just doing the best we can as humans. How do we then just invite more of these messages in? Because even earlier when you're like, oh yeah, like asking the universe, if I can get this house, then I guess I'm supposed to be here or stay here.
Yeah.
But just inviting this greater consciousness
Right.
in to then work with you in this everyday human life is
Right.
so important.
It's so magical. I mean, I feel like that's but that's why we're human, is to try to see what we can do on this human planet
Yeah.
with everything that is up there, you know. And I used to hate being human a lot, and now I think it's one of the greatest gifts, you know. To
How? Why?
I think what we can do with our physical bodies is really cool. Sometimes I think about the way that we love one another, even just the earth itself is really cool. Language is really cool. I think all the weird little quirky things that we do in human life is really cool. But I have a feeling that we have senses that other beings don't. You know, hearing, touching, smelling, seeing, even just the capacity to feel in just the different ways of anger, love, sadness. It's so colorful here. And exploring all the different ways that the colors and the patterns like to move is one of the coolest things. You know, I just feel like, you know, could be a lot more black and white, but this world is so colorful and there's so much to discover, and taking each day to unravel that and what that may look like, even if you travel or even in your day-to-day life, the small little things that you could notice a little bit more is so sweet. And like don't even have a word for this, but it's just
Juicy,
it's
sweet.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I love the human experience.
Yeah.
It's so quick. It's so quick.
It really is, if you think about it. But what you said is basically making this world a playground.
Yeah.
The body's a playground.
Right.
The beautiful people are a playground.
Right.
The texture's there. But it's not always easy for people to do because of the suffering that they're feeling.
Yeah.
Here. And because they're not connected to this greater consciousness to understand the wisdom of how to turn it into a playground. And that's, again, where you come in a cool way. But what's really interesting is you were saying, like, the textures and like a lot of realms don't. Let me just tell you, there are realms, all these other realms, very few of them actually have physical bodies.
Exactly.
Some of the realms, I've been to some realms, and haven't shared this ever, but on camera anyway. But in your meditation, in my meditations, in my ability to travel, I can really go lots of different places. Right. And it started initially, I was in the Cottonwood area, and there was this like door that was like a really cool portal. And there's guards at the door that are all like etched in from hundreds and thousands of years ago. Like, so all this stuff's like way bigger than all of us, way more sacred, like the pyramids and stuff.
Yeah.
I just meditated right next to that door, and it took me to this realm. It was the first time I ever went to a different realm.
Wow.
And the whole goal of that realm was for energies to pass through each other and then just take a piece of that person's energy and collect it. So my energy, it was so cool. My energy is mostly X, right?
Yeah.
And then you and I pass through each other, and I have mostly X, and then I have a little bit of your Y, so to speak. And then it's the next person, and you're just meant to connect to all these things so that in the end, all the energies are equal with the equal parts to them.
Like, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And so the whole point is just to pass through people and energy. Now, the human world has some of that too.
I was going to say.
Like, we meet, we exchange energy, and, you know, there's a lot of humanness where we don't understand what that means, but we're doing it anyway. Right. Anyone you meet, anyone you walk by on the street, you're exchanging energy with. Now, whether you take that in and let it be a part of your magnification or not, well, that's up to you.
And do you want to keep it?
Yeah. So that was a cool realm. Then I'd have clients who are struggling being here, and then I'd go look in their realms and like, where are you from? Let's check you out.
Right.
And just some of these realms are merely structural. The whole design of the realm is structure, not even a consciousness per se, not even it's just how do we continue to make things work. Gears and
so functional
and just that's it. Yeah. And there's realms. I have a client who's like got almost zero emotion, because emotion's a human thing. It's not it's not another realm thing. And so having that having no emotion and then feeling broken when he's just not, he's just in this from this different,
he's just different.
A different place. It's his norm,
right?
And to be different, and he's very successful, very solid person, but you know, there are a lot of people being labeled and label themselves, or other people labeling mental health issues
On the spectrum.
Yeah, all
You've
these
got
things.
this, you've got that.
When
Absolutely.
all it is they have a different norm with these unlimited amount of realms
Right.
that they're coming in with.
Right.
And I was telling somebody the other day, like, yeah, imagine you're fine, you're functional, you don't consider yourself having any mental health issues. What if tomorrow you woke up and you were in China and you didn't know exactly where you were, you didn't know how you got there, you didn't have any money, you didn't have any resources, you didn't know the language, you didn't know how to do anything?
Right.
Would you feel panicked, nervous? Would
Yeah.
you feel uncomfortable? Would you feel like a lot of things out of place?
Right.
Yes. So would we say you have mental health issues then? Or would you just be someone who is in a place that they're super uncomfortable and they don't know how to handle it?
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so for people who want to feel normal, part of that is unplugging from all of what you're trying to fit into and start figuring out who you are within, which is part of what you said earlier.
Right. And you know what's my mind for several things that you have been talking about bring me back, and you see you work with children too. I've worked with kids. My mom, she had a daycare in her house and just a daycare center my whole life. That was my first job. So working around kids and with kids was essentially my first job. And I held that job for the longest time. I was a nanny. After that, I ran classrooms. But my favorite was working in the classroom because there was all these little different souls. And you could always see the ones that were not like so far in a different realm and they had no idea. And they were the troubled child or just, you know, whatever label that people would put on them. And they have this pure sense or a connection to source still, and it still kind of comes out in them. And so easily can they, you know, they'd be like, sometimes I feel like I'm from this planet. And I go, oh yeah, tell me about that planet. And they'll have a whole, you know, we call it the imagination, but it's memory. I'm telling you,
100%.
but they'll tell you all about this world and who they are and what their role is. And, you know, all of these things about themselves and about their world, and working with them. And just how many times I had to tell the kid, you know, like, you know, you probably were from there. Like you are that person, please. Like, and my hopes and that they remember that as an adult of their superpowers that they knew so well as a kid. And that intuitive little hit, or just, you know, there are little psychics running around and you could see the conditioning of the world quietly, or like not quietly, but slowly telling them to dim down. And as a teacher, I really, really tried to focus on amplifying that and letting them know that they're, you know, their magic are gifts, and to hold on to that in hopes that they remember that when they're older.
Yeah.
But you see the source and just the different souls so well in little kids. And they were my greatest teachers too, because I really got to look back at when I was a kid, how I used to think, and what little weird little visions or things that I used to say or firmly believe in my soul that were going to be true or that were true. And I silenced them because somebody told me that it wasn't true, because it's not their truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
But
and that's that thing that school or society does. It
yes,
just puts you in a box. Like, no.
right.
You're in this box.
You're right. My dream is to eventually like write children's books about just the magic inside and all of those different things, because I feel like that's where the magic is still in the kids. And I want them to remember that book one day, go back and read it and be like, oh, there's something onto that, you know?
Yeah. What do you want this title to be?
For that book?
Yeah.
The magic inside. Yeah. That's the intuition, the magic, the spark, the them, whatever makes them special. And to remember that. And there's so many different pages that are like bleeping through my head right now, but the magic inside is essentially just remembering who they are and why they came here.
Yeah.
But
That's really cool.
yeah.
Speaking about that and how you discovered that magic inside.
Yeah.
Along this journey, you went from Hawaii to Bali to Australia.
Right.
And you, on this journey, it sounds like you were in Egypt at some point.
Yeah.
And
Greece, Egypt, Portugal.
This self-discovery for you, what has that meant now? Like now you're here, you're living in Tempe for now.
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to be probably one place too long.
Right.
But in a healthy, positive way.
Yes.
So what is your biggest takeaway that you now apply to you from this journey and the travel, especially
Biggest takeaway from travel.
in this awakening kind of takeaway?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that the biggest takeaway from travel is that there are many different versions of you, and that can change depending on location, the people that you're around, and they're all you, and they all work together. But the constant exploration of the world is almost in a way a constant exploration of yourself. And the gift to be able to continue to do that in different locations. And I was telling a friend about this. I feel like everywhere I go on the world is a different activation point for something inside of me. And it's almost like a grid. You know, I go here and then poof, something else lights up. Go here, poof, something else lights up. And I think about the girl that lived in Greece. I think about the girl that lived in Bali and Thailand and all of this. I was a different version of me in each instance. And obviously, as we grow and as we age, we are different versions of ourselves. But even just the way that I communicated with people, the way that I communicated with myself, the way that I lived was very different in each one. And just the constant exploration of that unlocked new levels of me.
So I'm going to really, first of all, that answer is amazing.
Okay. I was like, was that right?
I could feel you channeling that answer. That was so cool. Let me explain that a little bit differently, whether it's to you or to people listening.
Yeah.
What you said was these different versions of you. And some people might hear that as, different iterations, that you're now this one, and that is in the past, so to speak. But what I really heard was that our ability to be so many different people that can fit into so many different places and spaces is unlimited.
Right.
And it's not like I'm just this person and I have to be this person everywhere.
Right.
Versus I can just be this person in this space, and have all these multifaceted shapes to me.
Right.
At once.
Yeah.
That I pull out depending on
where,
who, what, where, when.
Yeah.
Now that one's a really fun one because I feel like I do that really well now. Back in the day, I was just like, I needed to be this person. I got to fit in this way. I got to look this way. Now I can wear, not only in coaching, can I wear so many different hats as a coach.
Right.
I found myself in so many different places. But as a human, being able to be so free to fit into any space without discomfort. Like I can go to a bar. I don't typically go to bars, especially in the US. I don't really go out to eat in the US, and I don't go out to do anything. But I found myself in these places. And I don't feel like resistance.
Right.
Because I'm this person or because I live this way, I can't go out to a bar. Like, no, let's go. Let's see what this is. Yeah. If I find myself, and I have a couple of times randomly I go to this event and all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's go here. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, let's go see.
But most importantly, not feeling out of place or not feeling it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Making it my thing in my own way. I don't drink. At least I drink a little, but never when I'm out in like bars or clubs or anything. I say that for like France.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So I don't do it, but I still fit in beautifully because I know I can hold a different type of person here.
Exactly.
And I don't feel out of place, and it's playful. And so that is a huge thing you just said.
Right.
Because what it means for people is you don't have to be locked into one version of yourself at any one time. You can be this person at home.
Right.
You can be this person when you go out. You can be this person when you do this. And they're all real. They're all beautiful.
Exactly.
And you're not trying to fit in.
Exactly.
You're playing in the space from the inside out.
Right. Right.
And that's a huge freeing thing.
And there's a difference between doing it because you want to discover and unlock that version of you or just that color of you versus doing it to prove something or, not doing it because you think like there's a difference between you feeling like something about that situation is an energy I don't want to be around, and just trusting that versus this makes me a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to go do it anyway. You know, they're two different energies. And learning that was so fun. And even sometimes going somewhere and being like, yep, this is not where I want to be, but I can do this, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm making any sense, but navigating that and not confining yourself to one label, because like I was saying, you came here to experience so many different things. Why would you want to experience just one?
Yeah.
You know, and I think about, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with the 9 to 5 life, but for someone that would have the same job for 40, 50 years in the same cubicle, their human experience, possibly if, you know, they don't travel or they don't layer it right, can just be so limited to that box. And that's just an example, you know, that I'm using. Versus someone who's had 15 different careers within the span of like, you know, 15 years. You chose a different route every single year. You've put so many hats on and you've met so many different people and you've experienced so many different conversations and feelings within all of that. What a beautiful way to experience. And none of it's right or wrong. None of it is right or wrong. But if I were to have the choice, I want to see it all. You know what I'm saying? Just my curiosity's insane.
Well, that's where you're at as a soul. Like you're in this lifetime, especially coming in and wanting to play.
Yeah.
For other people at the soul level, they drop in and they have a different thing they're trying to learn.
Very
and so
true.
that cubicle life for 40 years is just part of like, hey, let's just ease into the construct of humanness.
Right.
In this lifetime, we're just going to keep it steady.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe we don't travel much. You know, we have our kids, we clock in and clock out. But for that soul, because every time a soul drops into another lifetime, they're learning something. And so it's perfectly designed for them. But someone like you who's designed like how big and how far can I go? You're like, that sounds like prison.
Yeah.
So, but you did qualify it as it's not right or wrong, which is 100% true. I just want for people to understand, like, as we look at everyone and what they're doing, it's part of their flavor or style of life.
Right.
No different than the color of your hair and how you chose to tattoo yourself in these cool ways. I love your tattoos, by the way.
Thank you.
Or somebody else who chooses to shave their head and you know, do this thing.
Right.
It's the human style, including someone's actual choices in life. That's all a part of the human style.
Right.
It is no different than the shirt you wear, to the job you have, to the type of person you like or don't like. If you're single, if you have kids, if you're married, if you're heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, or any of the other ones. We're all just, if we can all look at people and just go appreciate their style and know yours. Yeah. And that's what you're saying.
Exactly. And just appreciating where they're at and where you're at. And this is all a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
another
beautiful.
thing that you said, which kind of talks about the environment. Oh, I can be in this environment, but I choose not to.
Right. What
you're really saying is, this environment doesn't take away from me. It doesn't. I don't need it, or I don't have to avoid it. You know, because even going to an environment you think you need is taking away from you.
Right.
Just as much as going into an environment that you hate and it's taking away from you, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're in the power of choice because you're just choosing the environment, not because you need it or need to avoid it, because you're just like, that's just not my style.
Yeah.
And I tell people, like, from a weather standpoint, I'm a warm weather person. I know
Same.
you are too. Yeah. I choose to live in Arizona and I love the heat. For me, I can live in Alaska, but I choose not to because it doesn't match.
That's a good example.
My environment within.
Right.
It's not that I hate the weather.
Right.
I don't hate
just
Mother
is.
Nature. You know,
it just is. That's
I'm not
what
judging
it
as
yeah.
You know, man, that's Noah's a big, jerk. I'm just saying, hey, that doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying about
it's the inner knowingness.
Different places.
Can't explain it, but I just know what I like.
Yeah. And so I love that. What do you think, like, now, if you knowing definitely the bridge, that's one. I also think this other piece to you, which is supporting people who they are, where they're at, I think is a huge one because of the showing up in different places and spaces. And instead of feeling it take away your power, how do you feed power into all these different things with whatever version fits or whatever part of you fits that environment? I think that's another way you can do some great coaching. But what's next for you? What do you think is next as far as what the coaching looks like, how you want to do it?
That one's always an interesting one for me. I battle with this, I have my intention, right? And sometimes when I speak, I know I can say one sentence and people hear a million different things. And not necessarily am I trying to force anybody to wake up or do anything outside of their own, I'm not here to intervene in any of that. I feel like I'm in the way that I speak and create it will activate. And, that's why I do a lot of social media, because in the way that a quick word can go on just a screen, I'm activating something in their brain, just like me traveling to Greece, it's activating something in, my brain. I love working one-on-one with people. It is the best work, just in a way to directly guide them through their experience in the way that feels good for them and to help them awaken their inner voice. But sometimes a part of me is like, if I discovered it within myself, and then again, I've had coaches too, but what is this weird battle in my head of, I just want to inspire them to be their own coach. Why would they need me? You know what I'm saying? And but then again, my evolution has been from other people. And just like you said, crossing paths and taking little bits of information from people, that can almost be my role in that. So part of it's like, I want to lead these retreats and these group activities to where everybody can surrender, or just identify their box that they've put themselves in, and maybe even just discover that inner child brilliance that they, have and still have. I would love to create a space for that. I would love to do even just travel retreats with people and have them just kind of go into this little safe space of, what am I? What do I like? Who do I, and the journey is different for everybody. Everybody is in a different spot. But how do I do that in a way that doesn't, burn me out to the point where I, go back to serving again, because I've done that before. How do I do that and keep it something that can support them and me at the same time?
Yeah.
How do I find that balance?
It's pretty easy, actually, if
Yeah?
you'd like me to share.
Please share.
Yeah. First, I'll start with you said, like, how can I coach these people when I really want them to be their own answer, their own truth? And why would they even coach with me in that space?
Right.
You ever look in a mirror?
Yeah.
Do you know what you look like?
Right. Yeah.
So then why do you ever need to keep looking in a mirror?
I guess you're right.
You always want to keep checking or observing and seeing what's changed or what's different or how you want to look today or whatever. As a coach, you're meant to be a mirror and just reflect back how they're showing up, how they're feeling, what they're saying in a way that they can then take that information and use it to evolve, adjust the hair a little bit, so to speak.
Yeah.
If we're keeping that story. But it's really hard for people to do that mental, emotional, even soul work without a mirror. And so as a coach, if you hold that space of the mirror, which I know you already can do so well, and then through each coaching session, give them a workout that gives them this space to get their mind quiet and figure out that deeper connection based on the information. Essentially, what I'm saying is, you hold the space, you share the information, and at the end, you give them a workout so they can figure out how to make what resonated their truth. And that can last you a long time.
Right.
And it's how I structured my business. It's not only because I'm partial to it, but I've been doing this now for 19 years. I've had a lot of people come with lots of different things. Literally, someone be like, I don't want to be here anymore. People going through massive injuries, harm, things, and they'll talk and they'll come in with a lot of this stuff. I don't take it on because, I'm a mirror. I'm just meant to hold the space. It's not mine. I have no ego in thinking I can change somebody or help somebody
Exactly.
or fix somebody, because no one's broken. They're just human.
Right.
And so it's really effortless to be able to hold the space without taking the burden, the responsibility on, not getting burnt out. Give them something to do mentally to rewire the brain while they're in between sessions, and then watch how they come back owning their life and more. And then we
Right.
just keep going.
Right.
And that's a never ending process. You said it earlier, like we're just going to be evolving
Right.
until we're gone.
Yeah.
And so it's absolutely there for you. And 100%, you have the power already to be that very beautiful mirror for people.
Right.
You have the connection, certainly, to
Right.
do that. All you got to do is a few refinement things and you're good.
So I do this, I do it every day. People come to me and, even complete strangers will come to me and just lay it all on the table. And, I'll be there to listen and reflect and invite them to, something different, something to explore. And you can see the little small progress. And I do this, daily. I feel like, different people that come into my life, even at my serving job, there will be a customer that will just vent to me, and at the end of it all, they kind of leave feeling better. What was and I'm sure you've done that too, just kind of in your day to day. It's just who you are. It's what your service is here. How do you turn that into something that supported you, even just financially, to do that as a career? How do you put what you do into a box that makes sense to people? And I get that when they come to you, they're not necessarily signing up on a course and saying, this is what I'm fixing. They have sometimes no idea what they're doing, but what they're doing, and deeper part of them knows what they're doing. But how do you put that magic into something that is tangible and something that has, been supported you as your coaching business?
Yeah. Well, in those early years, I had changed so much that people were like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Just much like now, people are like, talking to you, wanting to seek your advice, even if you're not even in that space because you're serving them, right?
Right.
What I did was get very intentional that, okay, I want to hold space for these people. I asked the universe to give me a system to do that, which is the system that I have today. It really came talking to people through the science space, not like the spiritual space at all. So it was really about getting them into the back brain and doing these mental workouts so that they can affect change in their own life. So my doing it just came like first believing like I've been far enough along in my journey that I can hold this space with actual experience that I have of changing my own life.
Exactly.
And as I hold this space for people or with people, then it's giving them the reflection of whatever we're talking about, whatever they're bringing up, which again, I was able to do pretty well. I do it way better now, but back when I started, I did it pretty well, to the point where people kept coming and kept looking and kept doing. And I used my connection always. They didn't know I was channeling as I was working with them, but I would use my connection always to either ask questions or to give responses of perspective or how their brain is firing or what's working. And so essentially that was it. And I got this download and I said, all right, the next person asked me, I'm going to say, hey, I can coach you. Here's what it would cost. And I got my first coaching clients back in 2007, and it just took off from there. And I was
like
coaching,
word of mouth or
all word of mouth, meeting people, just finally telling people, hey, I'm a coach. And at the time I was still doing mortgages. I was at Lifetime Fitness, and I'm like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Well, tell me more. Oh, well, I'm a mental coach.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like a life coach? And I'm like, nope. And
Yeah.
back in 2007, nobody was calling themselves mental coaches.
Right.
And the reason why, and I tell people this, is I'm like a personal trainer for the brain.
Yeah.
Where you go to a physical personal trainer, they're going to assess you, your movement, how your body works, any injuries, dysfunctions. You tell them what you want, and then they'll put a workout together.
Right.
But if you don't do the workout, you're not going to get any results.
Right.
And it's the same for me when I have conversations. I assess, I understand how their brain's working. And then at the end, we do a guided brain training that taps them into the back of their brain. And that's their mental workout so that they can then train their brain the way they want to. And the universe gave me all this. I can't take credit for any of this. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So that's what I did. It was intentional. It was just speaking up. And then this guy in the locker room was like, oh, you got to meet my buddy, Tom Ortiz. He's the head coach at Arizona State. I'm like, love to. Have lunch with him, start coaching his team, coach him. Well, first coached him, then his team. And he's been open about this in public. In fact, there's a documentary of me in it, so I can share that.
That's cool.
And then that led to other athletes. And then I was coaching women's basketball,
wow.
men's baseball at ASU. I start coaching pro athletes, and it just took off.
So you were coaching athletes, mental.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's really, and then all the business people were like, oh, he coaches athletes. I won't coach. A lot of business people like the way athletes do things. And so they try to fit into that mold because of the same mindset of eliteness, focus, drive kind of thing. So I started doing that. And so when I look at you and I think like, oh yeah, like all you got to do is put the flag up, flip the switch. And
I guess you're right.
And that's it, because you have all the functions. I would honestly say for two reasons. One, you're a female. You're more powerful than I ever was at that age. Just as female default, I would honestly say that. And two, because your connection where you're at now and your experiences are much more vast than when I started. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
When did you start? Like what age?
29, personally.
Okay. Oh, like the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like not coaching, but the very beginning of
that was my personal, yeah. And then I was 31 when I started coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, actually.
I think if my math's right, something like that.
My biggest concern was, and it's so funny, this feeling has never really gone away. And now that I feel like a magic little number on my age, 30, gives me more credibility somehow. But I always felt like because of my age and because of how early I started, most won't take me seriously until they listen, like until they actually can connect to that by face. It's a lot of like, I get a lot of opinions just by people looking at me versus when they hear me talk or hear me speak or listen to or read my writings or anything like that. It's a very different, like you got to get to know me. But a lot of people, and this is probably just a firm belief of mine, that maybe I'm just too young. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think I am young, yes. But I think I had that belief of I'm too young. I don't know anything, which I still feel like we were just talking earlier. I don't know anything. So, but that confidence of what do I know? Like I do know a lot in a sense of how I navigated my own experience, and just the confidence of having that reflection on somebody else, and for them to be able to like, I don't know, words can't describe what I'm trying to like say here, but I don't know. There's a block there, and I know what it is. It's feeling not good enough, and it's always been that one.
Yeah, that's a normal thing. Now, especially with the language of imposter syndrome and all these extra things that are added to it. But back in the day when I started, I just was so beautifully oblivious is probably the word.
It helped you in a sense.
I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do this.
Right.
But I saw so much magic happen that I just was like,
kept going.
Yeah. I'm like, this is all like, my life has changed so much. Like,
right.
Of course I can do this. And there's always I grew up in a town, beautiful town, but I've always had people judge me for whether they're kids mostly,
right,
for my color or my race, or, we were pretty poor growing up, or things like that. Or even in college, and that's a lot of my own stuff. But at some point I just stopped giving a shit.
Yeah.
And that was early on. So that piece of me worked because I just had so much of it.
Right.
And I know women, especially with how much you guys are judged and looked at and different things. And of course you're a beautiful woman, so your looks and like
being
taking
blonde.
you seriously, and the blonde and all this stuff. And and I would say, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
But one that you can just start to be oblivious to, because for every person that has those opinions, there's somebody else who won't.
Yeah.
And so just become oblivious to it and only train your eyes, your ears, your energy to those who see you, period. Not see you after you start talking. And this is for anyone out there.
I love that.
If you want to be seen, first of all, you got to see yourself. That part you're doing pretty well, even though your humanist tries to mess with that.
Yeah, all the time.
You see yourself pretty well. And so for people out there, it's like the first thing, see yourself really, really well first. And then the second thing is be oblivious to those who don't see you, because you're only focused on those who can look at you and go, yes, that person. And it won't matter how old they are or how old you are.
Right.
All that'll matter is they can see you
And
at
it
a
does
greater
happen.
level. And
Yeah.
you already
Yeah.
have proof of that. And so when I started coaching, I guess if I'm doing the math, because I'm like 52 now, I act 12.
52?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I act 12.
No, but I was guessing 40s.
Yeah. I get 30 still, which is cool.
Yeah, like late 30s, 40s.
And but so 19 years of coaching, that what put me at 33. I started coaching, and I was early on coaching people who were older, especially these business guys, the CEOs. These are the people. I mean, I'm coaching people who have millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
I'm 33, 34, 35, and people with huge net worths, famous people, whether they be athletes, actors, musicians, whatever. But I was oblivious, and all I looked for was the people who said yes and saw me, and that's all I cared about. There were other people, I'm sure, talking.
Yeah.
And I still, like, I'll go out, especially now, it's so awesome. And someone will say, oh, did you see that? I'm like, I had no idea. I didn't even know they were there. Oh, did you hear about that? I'm like, nope, completely missed that. Like,
yeah.
I'm so oblivious now that I don't, like, most of the time that stuff doesn't even enter my field, even though it could be like right next to me.
Right. I think also the big difference too is social media started probably, I mean, it started bigger when I was in high school, but hearing all the different voices from social media, I think did, the stigma on life coaches, the stigma on coaches in general, the opinions of people, even, on my YouTube always gets the wildest energy, but I just noticed the rejection of the light that I am trying to put out there is a lot more, because there are more eyes seeing it, and because for some reason the internet gives people permission to just project in wild ways.
Yeah.
I feel like that is another, in one way it's a really great thing because people like us can get to more faces, more souls, more, people. But in another sense, it does allow that avenue of the energies that mock, or that don't like it.
Yeah. There's two reasons for that. One, high vibrational energy and low vibrational energy doesn't work very well.
Right.
And both can get uncomfortable, but more often the lower vibrations get really uncomfortable being around, hearing, seeing high vibrational, because then they reflect on how they are inside, whether it be subconsciously or consciously. And then instead of like addressing like, hey, okay, I want to be more high vibrational, I'm not that, they like attack.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
The second thing is it's the universe asking you a question. It's not somebody attacking you. It's not somebody being negative. It's and by the way, this is your own thoughts too. Like, are you enough?
Yeah.
Are you sure you can do this? This is you, or your humanness, or the other person in their humanness asking you, do you believe in your truth? Do you believe in who you are? And so when you get that comment, I got one, I don't even know when I got it, but it was on one of my videos. It was like, this was absolutely worthless.
Yeah, just stuff like that.
I was like, I laughed and I go, do I believe that my voice is worth it?
Yeah.
It's just asking me a question.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate all of that. I don't get much of it. I'm not really out there as much either, though. I'm doing more of it now. But your own humanness. Can you do this? You asked me a question offline, like, at what point did I feel like I was really like solid in my coaching? And my humanness would say it still doesn't feel like it. It's still asking those questions. My soul now is strong enough to know, like, I've got this.
This is the path.
You know,
Absolutely.
But I mean, I was coaching for a long time before I could get to a really confident place. That from like '07 was when I started coaching. It was probably 2012
Okay.
when I finally felt like, okay, like I'm real solid. And even though that was my profession for that long, it's still, I didn't really have, but that's the evolution of our own selves. And it comes from just constantly working. Like I have subconscious programming or human programming of scarcity, lack of value and worth too. And so it was always this back and forth. But there was a point during that time where I'm like, oh, as long as I'm breathing, I am the currency of my own life.
Right.
And that just came through iterations of evolution of my my releasing of the things that didn't serve me.
Interesting.
So now it's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I'm breathing, I'm gonna make money.
I love that.
Because I am the currency.
You are the currency.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy. You know, I've heard that before too, is once you start seeing yourself as the currency, then it just naturally kind of flows in the 3D in different ways. How do you, now I'm asking business coaching questions, but when you get that response of, I want coaching, you know, they want your energy, but, you know, and you have your price points for coaching, obviously, they say they can't afford it. How do you even navigate that?
Oh, in the beginning, it was super hard.
Yeah.
Because being such a giver, and in fact,
Exactly.
I don't think I did in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this one kid. He was a young athlete, just trying to make it in the MMA world, and he wanted to coach with me, but he couldn't. I'm like, just come.
Yeah.
We'll just pay whatever you can. And
Yeah.
sometimes it was $5, sometimes it was 20, but I knew it was really, truly all he had at the time, and that was fine for me. But what happened is even though it was this loving and giving thing, I was taking away from not only myself and the time, but I was taking away from the time in this greater space. And so by honoring my actual value and worth and honoring the actual prices of my coaching, it put me in a place to have a greater effect. And not only for myself, but for the world. And so now if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, like, well, I can't afford it. I'm like, okay, that's totally okay. I've got some free stuff on my website.
Right.
Check that out.
Yeah.
When you're ready though, and when it's more aligned financially for you, come back. I'm always here. I would love to work with you. Totally understand where you're at right now.
Right. The overgiving part, that's the one I struggle with as well.
Yeah. The
like
boundaries are really healthy for so many reasons.
Exactly.
But that's truly how I respond. I have created some free stuff online. I've got some really cool stuff there.
And I mean, you're speaking magic all the time. This stuff is so valuable, and the value's there. If they truly, truly want to change, they will see the value. You know what I mean? And they'll see, even just listening to your podcasts, which are completely free. That's valuable.
And the money, this is another piece. If they don't financially aren't ready money-wise, then what people have to understand is, like, from a coaching standpoint, how I coach is different than other people.
Right.
You gotta be ready.
Right.
Like, for the actual coaching itself, not just be ready to pay for the coaching. You got to be ready. So you have to really be at a certain space for this to even make this kind of coaching to make sense for you.
Yeah.
And the money has seemed to be a natural filter for those people who are at that point where consciously, soul-wise, human-wise, they're at a place they're actually ready to coach with me.
You know what's funny? I've actually had the opposite happen to someone. Paid me, like, just like they knew my price, they paid, and then when the code came to the actual coaching, like didn't want to respond or like join on the calls or like even participate, and I could just feel that they were not ready in that space to actually make that change, which is so okay. I think they had some processing to go to, or just you have to kind of go through that bullshit and then come to a point to where you're ready to build up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's funny that you said that, because I've actually had the opposite happen.
That's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Though, right?
Yeah. Right.
Typically, if somebody's going to actually pay and invest, they're going to do something with it.
Right.
Right. There's also the exception the other way. Even if somebody doesn't have money, they might be mentally, emotionally, physically ready for this type of coaching.
Right.
But when we just kind of weed out the exceptions on both sides and just focus on the major space that we can, that works for everybody.
Right, right.
Because there's always exceptions to every rule.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so cool.
I love that this conversation was beautiful.
Yeah,
Just that
thank
whole
you
journey.
so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not sure, like, we'll definitely be able to take this personally, chop it up,
Yeah.
and edit it for our own purposes. We can both put it out there. We can do some kind of, I don't know, your YouTube is probably more strong than mine is. So we can put it on YouTube and then collaborate with me.
I love that. Yeah.
However you want to do it, I'm good. But I just loved our conversation.
Yeah, I think there's so much. There's so much to that entire conversation that was just beautiful. So I thank you for that too. That was beautiful. That was lovely.